The name for the organization, Ta'leef, came from this Quranic concept of allafa yu'allifu, which is an Arabic word that means to bring two things together. And mu'allafat al-qulub, people whose hearts have been consolidated, people whose hearts have been reconciled, is a concept in the Quran of people who are either interested in Islam or have recently embraced Islam, but they need heart work. Their hearts need to be made firm on the faith. And so that's where the inspiration for the name of the organization came from. In general, Ta'leef is that process. Ta'leef is that process of doing heart work. We live in a time where there are completely unprecedented instabilities and completely unprecedented, totally unprecedented dysfunctionalities in the community, in the world. And so we recognize that, and we recognize that people are expecting Islam as a spiritual path to answer the questions, the social questions, the lived experience questions that they're facing in life.
Most of the cases, and the questions and the sessions we have with people here at Ta'leef, with converts or otherwise, they're not questions of theology. And very often it's learning how to just provide the empty vessel, the empty space for someone to just be able to let things out and to be heard.
If you look at the idea that there are well over 20,000 people as a minimum who embrace Islam in America annually, then you look from there at the fact that there are one or two or maybe three organizations nationally that even focus on convert care. The mid-level, the core of needs, the core of demands in the community have to be met. And if you're expecting superheroes to do that, you're going to be disappointed.
It's that idea, Osama talks about it a lot. It's like the X-Men kind of sheikh, or whatever, this team of like 3 or 4, leaders that are going to save Islam in America. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
There's been hundreds of people who've embraced Islam here. Each one of them comes with a set of needs. Each one of them come with specific questions. Each one of them come with a unique package. And they deserve to be served as individuals in order to empower the collective. And so how can that happen without people who are trained? And so the Mu'allif Mentorship Program, a big part of it, is our attempt to license other people throughout the world to make this happen. Look, people come to Islam with issues, and people in this country are continuing to come to Islam, most often from the lowest rungs of the socioeconomic ladder. Whether we like that, whether you like that, that's what's been happening. And historically, those are the people who embraced Islam en masse. They were impoverished people. They were socially marginalized people. So the social ills that those folks have need to be addressed by Islam.
We've subjugated the not so important above the super important. How can you face Allah and His Messenger on the Day of Judgment if you're turning people away?
It's really not this. It's this. If we're going to be here, have a community, be in it for the long term, caring for the spiritual needs of this community is going to consist of more than just learning, Sharia.
A lot of people that are attracted to the faith are looking for a sense of belonging. Not everybody enters because they found Tawheed, or they found the oneness of God. They're looking for a place to belong. Or they're just unwell. And they just need to feel well and loved.
The vast majority of Muslims are not going to mosques. The vast majority of Muslims are not finding a place of comfort within their existing faith-based institution. And quite frankly, across a broad spectrum of youth, whether it's, between the ages of 15 and 40, just don't feel comforted by their faith-based institution.
I've seen stuff like people get kicked out of mosques and things like that. And it's kind of sad, especially if the sister's young and she's just learning how to do all this and you're yelling at her to leave the mosque. I mean, it doesn't make it a very welcoming place,
People come to Islam thinking they're going to find the ummah, they're going to find this brotherhood and this sisterhood, this ideal concept, and a lot of our religious communities don't do that. It doesn't feel like home. It feels like we're walking into like a battle zone or, you know, some like hostile territory.
We're here, man, because we made it, quote unquote. We're still here, we still have our faith, but there's brothers that we know, man, that left. You know, and I don't think they left because they believed that, now I believe there's 3 gods. They left because of us. You know, they left because of Muslims, you know.
Muslims have not identified a agreed upon and clear public minimum, i.e. what is the bare minimum that someone needs to do to be considered part of the community. And this is a very, very important conversation if we want to understand what community means, what community is, etc. If you say that the Shahada is a public minimum, then all of the gray area is the Muslim community. Outside of this line is the greater community. Kafir, polytheist, atheist, Christian, Jew, Buddhist, everyone in between. If the public minimum is Shahada, then I'm gonna be clear here. The Muslims have not defined a public minimum, so when we say we're a community, it's actually a fallacy.
Right.
In reality, because we're not some unified, clearly defined community. You're Shahada, brother, you're really part of this community.
Yeah.
And you get everything that comes with that.
So it's vital that we, doing this work, define this public minimum to people. If you would be surprised if you tell someone, look, you said you're Shahada, you're Muslim, it's cool. We'll work on it.
And if the gray area is the mosque and not Islam, if I leave the mosque, I feel like I've left Islam. In other words, the mosque isn't an end. We keep talking about the mosque as an end, not as a means. Allah is the end. It's not about individuals. It's not about this organization. It's about a demand that people need this. People want this. It's kind of like a recognition. Like I remember someone told me a story about a person who came into the mosque and he said, "Who's the imam?" And the entire congregation raised their hand. In other words, everybody in the congregation knew how to meet the basic needs of the community. This first point is about Ta'leef surviving Usama canon, right? And like being able to do more than just being dependent on an individual. Because there's been times even when we've shown up, people have shown up, we've been at Ta'leef, someone says, oh, someone wants to say Shahada, then they call me. There's no reason that an organization or that an effort should be dependent on a personality. And so you all are kind of part of the early attempt for us to like, how can Ta'leef live past any individual?
This idea of going beyond the sheikh and imam, we need them, but we also need everyday people dealing with everyday people.
I feel like it's more and more like it's like this grassroots kind of like empowerment of people, you know, teaching them skills that we have found the Muslim community in the West is lacking.
So a Mu'allif is someone who has themselves been reconciled, has himself undergone the process of Ta'leef. They've begun the process of doing the necessary hard work to become fully well. And they want to assist other people in the process.
There's 2 semesters. So basically it's broken into 2 semesters, which is essentially 2 6-day residencies. And then there's several months in between the 2 residencies. The residencies follow kind of a similar pattern. The first half is really rooted in ourselves and in introspective work. So, we have it at a retreat center. You know, there's no internet, there's no phone service. It's really, you kind of fall off the grid for a couple days. A very important cornerstone of the program is, as content providers and translators, as we refer to, or mentees, how are we caring for ourselves?
Very often, without that kind of intentional practice on learning how to be aware and learning how to build awareness and mindfulness, we're kind of just often drifting through emotional states, and maybe we're not really aware of like what they are or how they're affecting us in certain ways and affecting our relationships with others.
How can you distinguish between pain and suffering?
Pain is inevitable. Suffering is our reaction to the pain. It's us making drama out of the pain. Pain is inevitable. But what's our initial reaction to pain? It's constrict, right? Tighten. When in actuality, what does it need? It needs loosening. It needs mercy.
So, let me get this straight. Going to the source of the pain?
Turning toward the pain.
Turning towards the pain rather than
running away.
Rather than running away
so
from
you
it.
can see the actual cause?
You're shining our light on it, and you're turning towards the pain. It's an act of like radical care. That's where true compassion really starts to bloom. Is that the pain's right there. How can you turn towards it? And that's really true compassion. It's not pity. We don't want pity. I don't want to settle for pity. I want compassion. You know, we want to try and stir up compassion in this work. Compassion's a key, you know.
This is a cornerstone of the program, is learning, you know, to kind of learning self-empathy, to be able to then provide empathy towards others.
The program here really isn't about like just delving deeply into matters of fiqh or matters of sharia or matters of theology. This is about serving the community, and it really, kind of gave us like hands-on tools that we can apply, to that end.
For sure, it's not schooling people in traditional Islamic knowledge, although it's rooted in our tradition. That's not what it's about, because that's already available. People can get that. We're in the classroom 8 hours a day, theoretical learning, really kind of getting down, often, debating and talking about, issues that are relevant to us as content providers, us as translators.
So if someone does take their shahada, like let's say right before Maghrib, and they're there for Maghrib, you'll have them sit out, or you'll show them wudu and have them.
Legally, he needs to wash, take a bath, change his clothes before he prays. Okay. Legally. If you can make that happen in a way that's not awkward and weird, more power to you. I have a really hard time.
That's like the balance with like the rabbinical approach, right? Because it's like, well, legally, no.
Whoa. Guys, think about the framework. Mindfulness, emotional intelligence, not spiritually bypassing, being present, having basira, case by case, no pre-recorded dawah. You're trying to get pre-recorded dawah, and I'm not going to give it to you.
Just you keep being vague and saying,
because it's a big situation. I know. It's a case-by-case situation.
I get it.
You don't want. I'm telling you, and if you guys can kind of open your heart and mind to this reality that like those few moments are going to define the rest of the people's career as a Muslim. It's like, what are you meeting them with?
Although I've been working in the community for over 20 years and we are an established organization, an established community, we are not established in convert care. And we recognize that Ta'leef is leading the way in convert care in the West.
It's bridging the gap between practical on-the-job training and deep, authentic, proper knowledge of Islam. And then the third piece, and arguably the most important, is the experience. Because like anything else, it takes time.
The program consisted of everything from practical teaching methods. We learned how to teach, right? We learned how to teach. That was during the first semester of the program.
The point of the educational process is who? The student, not the teacher. Don't get it twisted. You're not special because you're at the front of the room, right? Some of the greatest scholars I've ever seen all say, we are your what? What's the term they use? Servants. Yeah. And what we do know we should be confident in, right? Enough of that whole like, oh, astaghfirullah, I'm so, alhamdulillah, I don't know, Allahu a'lam, there's more people learning than I. Well, you do know, right?
How do we know when we know? Like, even someone like Sheikh Hamza says, I'm still a student of Arabic, I'm still a student. So how do I know when I know enough to teach something?
So you have to know one level above. So you have to have a master's in order to be able to teach undergrad students, right? You need a PhD in order to teach the master's students.
You need a group like the Mu'allif Mentorship Program to exercise with this, because individually you're in a silo, but when you create this kind of think tank with similar scenarios, you're able to exercise your thought process. Program really deepened for me this idea that if you don't have a healthy relationship with your family and friends in your community, you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself or your Creator. And if we have unhealthy communities, and if we have unhealthy individuals in those communities, then we are distant from Allah.
As much as you're learning on how to work with people within the Muslim community and how to utilize what Talif has done, you learn about yourself too. And I don't think it's direct. Like you're not directly taught how to work with yourself, but as you're taking all this knowledge in, you're reflecting. There's so much reflection when you're doing this type of study, and then when you see yourself utilizing that study with other people, the reflection that you get, you see how it's transformed you.
I think the program just really gave me a lot of confidence, man. To see people that I believe to be competent in this work, give me kind of like the green light, so as to speak. Like, you can do this. It isn't above you. It isn't too difficult. It's just a matter of, taking a few basic skills and, applying them.
It kind of feels like we're like toddlers taking our first steps after, away from our parents, away from home, and being told to explore the world and, do what you need to do. But at the same time, I feel really strong, and I feel like we are well equipped. I think I'm really excited to hit the ground running when we leave in a couple of days, inshallah, to really start doing the work that we're doing with perfection, inshallah.
And being someone like myself who's a lay Muslim, it's hard to feel like you can actually play this role. And it's something I've been struggling with. Like, I'm always looking for someone else to do it and me just be an organizer. And I think like a big thing that we learned here is you can do this.
I think one thing that was reaffirmed for me in this program, and I saw it really earlier on in Green Gulch when we continued to finish that program, and it just stems down to basic khidmah, basic character and serving. And my teacher just often said to me, it's not about the knowledge that you hold. And what I have learnt from this program the most, you can't fake love. You can't fake love.
At the end of the program, we had our quote-unquote graduates in a group with other individuals, and you just saw the knowledge, the depth of knowledge, the depth of like being able to interact with the content. You saw them excel. It's like they get it, man.
My hope for the program is that, number one, it will bring about the requisite number of people here in our community at Tatlif to be able to do the work that's already happening and continue the work and have it move beyond me and have it move beyond Mustafa and move beyond the co-founders of this organization. So that's my hope, is that the Mu'allif Mentorship Program will be that, to where you show up to a community and it's like, it's expected that the place is going to smell good. It's expected that the place is going to be clean. It's expected that however a person is dressed or however ostensibly religious a person looks, they're going to be treated kindly. People are going to listen to them. People are going to be sensitive. People are going to welcome them. And people are going to see them as the priority. That's what the Mu'allif Mentorship Program is about.
The Mu'allif Mentorship Program is really rooted in the idea of Tatlif Collective's name and theory, on a very deep level, is that it's showing people that they can do it. You can do it. We want everybody to kind of come in and just learn how to serve better, how to serve their communities, how to serve themselves, how to serve, and ultimately serve God.